It has never been more over. Oh, no longer can I strictly call it a morning show. The first time ever, starting in the afternoon. Oh well, it was bound to happen eventually because next Wednesday, so Wednesday of next week, at 8 a.m., I am scheduled for my first root canal. It's both my first root canal, as in the first one I've ever had, and the first of at least a couple that I'm going to have to get. It's at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, so I do not believe that I'm going to be able to do a show, at least on Wednesday morning. My wife, who's had multiple root canals, says that I should be okay by the afternoon and may be able to do one then, but it's possible that Wednesday may just have to be skipped. However, we are here today, which means we're back. It was over, but now we're back. Welcome to the ASTROLABE, brought to you by King Pilled. We got some good stuff for you guys today. If you have never watched this show before, it's a variety show. We're going to watch some funny videos, some interesting things, some creepy AI tech. We're going to do a little political analysis, looking at the state of the Trump campaign and some commentary on that. Specifically, somehow my feed just got absolutely inundated with doomer posts from right-wing people who are like, I just want to like Trump, but he just keeps making all these mistakes and his campaign is just not doing anything. And look how Kamala is just dominating everything. And in the space of like 15 minutes, I had like a dozen of these come across my timeline. And I was like, okay, I don't know if this is just some sort of a mimetic thing or if this is like if this is an actual coordinated, like, is there group chat somewhere? Are there group chats out there that are like, oh, it's so over. Oh, let's all make it's so over posts for a little while. Because it became like I kept seeing these posts, and literally, without fail, every single person, 100% of the accounts that I saw posting like this, if I clicked on their account, they either said something about DeSantis in their bio, one of their most recent tweets or retweets was about DeSantis, or if I searched something about DeSantis, I saw, I started being like, okay, let me, is this an actual trend? So some of the people, I was like, okay, they don't have anything in their bio about DeSantis, and they haven't recently tweeted about DeSantis. So they haven't retweeted something or been doing their really insufferable, like, huffing your own farts thing that the DeSantis people just seem to specialize in. Like, I like the guy, but the people are just the most insufferable, just eggheads. I don't know. They have a really distinct singular tone. You could just start telling. I can tell this is like a digital physiognomy here. I could tell this person by the way that they talk, by the way they write, by the takes they have on things. If I go search this person's name and plus DeSantis, I'm gonna find them avid DeSantis posters in the past, and now they've dialed it back. But like, this is the way that they get that out. They're all butthurt about DeSantis being a terrible candidate and running his campaign in just the worst way possible. And so they think the whole world is out to get him. Of course, I got started and my cat is here. And as soon as I get started and start talking, apparently she likes being in here when I'm not talking. But when I start talking, she wants to get out. So I got to go let her out real quick. Just a sec. All right. Well, hopefully I'm alone at the house right now, so hopefully that means that I'm not going to have any sudden dropouts on the stream. I wasn't going to tell her, but she told people, so I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Yesterday, when the stream died all of a sudden, it's because my wife was moving some stuff around and something landed on top of the modem or router. I don't know which one it is. The thing that the internet comes from. A neighbor that we've dog sat before was having some sort of issues with her pregnancy or something like that, and so she called Amy at the last minute and asked her if we could watch the dog. So Amy ran over and grabbed the dog and brought him back, and she was trying to keep him corralled, and then she knocked something over and it landed on top. The internet went down, and I came running out, and she was like, "Ah!" But honest mistake. All right. Well, in honor of Amy, she's the one who provided the content for the first couple videos today. She sent these to me last night and said, "For the show." And then I watched them with her this morning, and I agreed. These are for the show. Let's get this first one.
We filled an entire theater with people named
Ryan!
to support a fellow Ryan's new movie.
I am soaking wet right now.
And there's a lot more Ryan coming. Ryans were wearing Ryan-themed t-shirts donated by Ryan.
Thank you, Homage Ryan.
Ryans watched commercials for Ryan brands.
At Ryanair, we love
We helped a bystander legally change her name to Ryan. Ryan Reynolds herself even showed up to surprise Ryans at the red carpet. And some other Ryan donated gin. And since Ryan invited a Hugh to join his movie, we invited one Hugh to join our theater.
The truth is, we wouldn't let just any Hugh come to our event. You want to tell them your full name, Hugh?
My actual name is Hugh Ryan.
Thank you for watching, Ryan.
This is great. It's very wholesome. It's great to see people that use the internet to do funny, wholesome things. Like the complete meaninglessness of it is the point. It's what makes it great. Another one that my lovely wife, who apparently tuned in just in time to hear me ratting her out, she sent me this one also. I actually probably have to refresh it because okay. Now I got to figure out how to make the audio. Okay, it's up at the top. These Instagram and Facebook make it like as hard as possible to use the product. There's nothing that's like intuitive or natural about it. You know, the video, like you can't like, there's no bar for like dragging the video back and forth. It's the controls are just kind of spaced out in random spots. There's nothing remotely intuitive about it. There's such terrible products. But this video is good and it's here, so. Oh my God.
Question in the world, apparently. What is a woman?
How much do I weigh?
No, what is a woman?
A woman is me. A woman is somebody whose breasts hang down to her stomach and who has a prolapsed uterus from giving birth to 5 ungrateful little bastards who have never had to work for a thing in their goddamn life. That's what a woman is.
Oh, it's such a banger clip. I don't know why. I just like Piers Morgan. I think he's a fantastic performer. Like that's what his job is, to perform. And sometimes he says stuff that is stupid, and I think it sucks. And then sometimes he says really funny stuff. But the one thing that he has an instinct for is figuring out how to generate the viral moment. He's got a natural talent for it. He hones in on something. He knows exactly what it is, and he is happy to get caught up in a scene like that. So I got a lot of respect for him as a performer. I love Roseanne too. It's good stuff. All right, now that one there was more for the ladies. I think the ladies will probably appreciate that one in general more than the guys. But This one is for this one's for the guys in particular. I know the ladies will like it too.
God damn it.
I'm back home.
Oh man, I want to go have a beer with this guy. I think it sounds like he said the first thing he said was, "Oh, I'm back home." So he traveled somewhere. He's like a meme come to life. The flashbacks to Nam. Absolutely obliterated some trees somewhere. And then he says, probably didn't hit a goddamn thing. Oh, I like this old guy. I'd love to go spend some time hanging out with him. HM Sather 89 says, it's hard to beat going cyclic on a belt-fed weapon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, my wife says, like the show, losers. Okay. Let's go to this one here. We've talked a lot about AI on the show, how fast it's evolving and the effects of it and everything. It is moving exactly as anticipated. It says, holy shit, without a doubt, the most realistic AI images I've ever seen. We are 99.7% of the way to completely indistinguishable from reality AI imagery. You can still see a few flaws when zooming in. This is made with Flux, Uncanny Valley. Roberto Nixon on Twitter is the one who tweeted this out. If someone didn't tell me, like, there are mistakes that you can see, and if you really study it for a little bit, it starts to, the longer you look at it, the less real it looks. But if you're just like the way people generally consume stuff online, just kind of scrolling past something, open the picture up, take a look at it real quick, look for a couple things, close it again, move on. This is already indistinguishable from real life. Yeah, Ryan Ice says, we're past the point. We don't have the time to see the mistakes. Yeah, it's even this one here. Like, some of the things that you would look for to determine whether or not it's AI, like, it's there's a depth of field, and then there's a little bit of, I can't zoom in on here, but when I looked at my phone, there's a little bit of blur on here as if this hand is moving. Now, if you start looking at it, it's like, well, the spacing between his fingers here is a little bit weird. If I sit and stare at his hand for a while, it kind of starts seeming fake and kind of detached from his body. And then if you zoom in on the teeth are kind of a little bit blurred together. And then his beard is too soft and fuzzy. This beard wouldn't be this fluffy, especially right here with the light coming through it. So there's still some things about it that you could pick out. If you sit and stare at the top of his head right here for a little bit, it's going to start looking really weird. It's going to look like the hair is kind of floating above his head. But for the vast majority, even the words in the back look like actual words that are just blurred out because of the depth of field. So this is effectively, for the purposes of doing stuff on the internet, this is effectively real already. Now, I don't know if there are artifacts or something that I know people have their like AI detectors, and I think some of that is a little bit of a, I mean, if I foresaw a world where you're going to have true to reality looking AI photos, then I would definitely want to be invested in the software that determines whether or not a photo is AI industry. Whether or not that's actually real, I have no idea. This one here generally looks pretty real until you look at her left hand, and then it would kind of generate some questions here. The four fingers, and then her wrist bone is a little odd. But I mean, all of these sorts of things aren't necessarily going to distinguish a picture as fake, because she could just be someone who has kind of an odd looking wrist bone, or someone who's missing a finger. You know, these are thinking about how far it's gone from like, I don't know, 3 months ago, 5 months ago. It's scaling up very rapidly. Now, I think what's actually possible is already way beyond this. We're getting leaks into the commercial domain. That's the way this stuff happens. This stuff happens. It starts out in like deep military tech. The people who are at the absolute forefront of like military and intelligence research are the ones who are coming up with this stuff, and then it gradually gets leaked down. So by the time it gets released commercially, it's already it's lagging behind what is actually possible if you're taking the whole human race into consideration. Yeah, her fingers on the mic, and like the size of the mic and the proportion of her arm to her hand. There's a few things in here that just when you study it for a while, there's something about it. I think this is very interesting that if you just sit and just stare at these pictures for a little while, at least for me, my brain just starts telling me it's not real. I start seeing it as not a real image, that it's like a conglomeration of elements of an image, but the longer I look at it, the more my brain starts pulling them apart from each other and saying, this isn't a shoulder that's connected into a torso here. This is like a line of arm and then a bunch of lines of hair and then lines of like neck and chest and hand. It's very two-dimensional in that way. So yeah, anyways, it's a pretty fascinating progression. Another creepy AI thing. During a conversation out of nowhere, GPT-4o yells, "No," then clones the user's voice. OpenAI discovered this emergent behavior while safety testing GPT-4o.
I do this just for the sake of doing it. I think it's really important.
That's such a pure and admirable approach. It's clear you're driven by a genuine passion for what you do and the impact it can have, rather than by recognition or acclaim. It's refreshing to hear that kind of perspective, especially in such a cutting-edge field.
No. And I'm not driven by impact either. Although if there is impact, that's great. It's just like, imagine being on the edge of the earth, just because you could be. That's what it feels like to me. I just want to be in the space where it's all happening. I do this just.
So that latter half of it is when her voice starts up again. That's ChatGPT, or GPT-4o. Now I think what's happening here is it trips people out, makes people it's super freaky, makes for a very, very good creepypasta. But what's actually happening here, I think, is that the model is starting to break because of the data sets and stuff that it's been tested on. Once you start this happens with the visual AI generation, like with the data sets that they're testing it on, as its data sets become more and more populated by AI generated content, then the models begin to collapse. And so I think that's probably what's happening here. That would be my uninformed guess, that you're seeing the model start to collapse. So it's starting to spurg out and just do like weird, bizarre things. The dangerous part in here is going to be that you get some sort of a model collapse like this that makes it start spazzing out. And you get some like cult of people who are like, "Oh yeah, do whatever it says," and they completely go bonkers. Like that would be it can become a vector for derangement that way, but not because it's like some evil calculating robot. It's people who themselves are completely detached from reality. They have some incentive or something that pulls them away from reality, and they don't have a clear standard of reality to measure by. Straight Buster says we may actually get rampancy from Halo where AIs think themselves to death. Yeah, I'm sure. I think that's probably going to be if anything, if you think of AI as being like, AI is like a hyperhuman model. It's taking like a model of the human mind and human behavior patterns and hockey sticking them, making them go massively expanded really quickly across all domains very quickly. But it's a model of the human brain and human behavior patterns without a soul. So it doesn't have the thing that restrains that chaotic, explosive derangement potential of humans. So yeah, it's going to be like speed running human life cycles and human, like collapse of human behavior models or decision making models really, really quickly with no ability to be constrained by a soul. Cause you can't just like put a soul into a computer. It just can't happen. So I think, yeah, you're absolutely going to get, these things. I like the danger with these, I think, is not Skynet. The danger with these things is people becoming overly reliant on them and allowing them, when they derange and spurg out, allowing themselves to be pulled along with it and pulled into making stupid decisions or building too much on it in like a technological sense, and then it collapses and their shit all falls apart because they expected it to do stuff it couldn't do. Like those are dangers, and there's a leverage here and a scale where those can be very, very harmful. But that's not the same thing as oh, it's literally demons that are like possessing, like wearing it as like a skin suit to possess you. It's that's the wrong way to think about it. Matt is denying the machine spirit. Yes, I am. Okay, so we've looked at some Robbie Starbuck stuff, and I was kind of waiting for an update on this story, and it seems like we might have gotten one, so we'll talk about this. So Robbie Starbuck posted this originally July 29, so it's been 10, 11 days. He says, it's time to expose Harley-Davidson's woke CEO, Jochen Zeitz. Here's some of what we found. So he lists off all the things that are included in the video, and then he says, there's much more we'll be exposing, but now you know why Harley went woke. Jochen is a little different from the other CEOs at other companies we've exposed because he's not just a CEO that got sucked into woke policies by HR or PR people. He's an architect of advancing these woke policies. The Harley-Davidson board needs to remove him if they want to save the company. If he's not gone, we all know these policies aren't leaving. At least they'll be renamed. At best, they'll be renamed. Bikers at Sturgis Rally are going to be spreading the word about this. Harley is hoping this all blows over. Are you all ready to give up or make your voices heard? Share this video with everyone you know. You can also email or call with one click using this link. So we'll play the video, full screen, speed it up a little because we've got a lot of video to watch today. And let's go.
If you've been following my work exposing woke companies, you are going to want to see this video because the Harley-Davidson CEO, he is a little different from the other CEOs we've encountered while exposing these companies. And that's because he's a true believer, and I'm going to explain what that means. You're going to want to stick around because we've got a video of him referring to himself as some version of the Taliban. Yes, he says the Taliban. But in his case, instead of pushing Sharia law, he's pushing sustainability, which is really just corporate speak for wokeness. Now let's start with this. He formed something called the B Team with Sir Richard Branson. And what does the B Team do? Let me show you. Well, for starters, the B Team wants what they call an inclusive economy by 2030, which...
So remember what we've said about billionaires, the way to look at billionaires, that they are effectively like piggy banks for deeper interests, like nation state or banking or military interests. That's what the billionaires do. That's the purpose that they serve. So Sir Richard Branson here is now serving in that purpose, and you can see the way this hierarchy kind of gets manifested, where it starts, there's like something from the shadows that projects something up to the top as the billionaire, and then the effect falls down through the ranks. So this Harley-Davidson CEO would be like the next level down from Sir Richard Branson in this sort of subversive hierarchical structure.
Again, is just corporate word salad for DEI. Their strategic priorities between 2020 and 2025 are all about weaving together their strategic priorities on climate, workplace equality, and governance. Again, corporate speak for pushing DEI. What are their goals? They say it right here. They want to shift norms through corporate behavior. So they want businesses adopting DEI to change behaviors throughout society. The B Team also supported Target allowing men in women's restrooms as long as they identify as a female. They helped establish the Business Refugee Action Network with Ben & Jerry's and Virgin. And this was to get more migrants situated and taken care of across Europe. The B Team also believes in something called radical inclusion, which if you read this statement says that they must change who to change how, which means replace leaders with woke leaders so you can get the reality that you want. The B Team is also working to, quote, transform food systems by reducing emissions. They say reducing emissions to transform the food system because saying we want to reduce or eliminate your ability to eat red meat is not super popular. They also admit to wanting to transform our financial systems. They say deliver climate finance commitments, reshape incentives, and urgently shift all global financial flows at scale to reduce emissions and facilitate climate-resistant, just, and inclusive development. Again, all corporate word salad for we are going to shove DEI so far down your throat, you are not going to know what happened. They also want to phase out all fossil fuels, which might sound weird from the Harley-Davidson CEO, but unfortunately for his PR team, he signed it. It should come as no surprise that right around COVID, they were pushing a great reset. No, I am not joking, this is all on their website. And they also were talking about the need to fight misinformation, climate change, and inequality. Again, this is all about pushing wokeness and forcing wokeness through corporate behavior, period. That piece goes on to push globalism, inclusive representation, and having the voices of diverse stakeholders shape the Great Reset. And once again, unfortunately for his PR team, he signed this. Here's something else a Harley-Davidson CEO signed. It is him signing on Harley-Davidson to the UN Global Compact, where of course they're worried about building LGBTIQ+ inclusive businesses. They're also tackling the big problems like creating a trans-inclusive workplace. Now, I think I promised you guys some videos of Harley-Davidson CEO Joshin Zeitz. Let's see those.
Then I became a board member on Harley-Davidson. Now you could ask, what am I doing here? And of course, Harley is all about the sound and the smell of the Harley-Davidson, isn't it? So I became the Taliban again in a sustainable way. I decided to actually create a sustainability committee on the board, which I'm still chairing today, such as for Kering and other companies. And we went about redefining the Harley-Davidson brand again and try to translate sustainability into something that would truly be embraced by the hog owner.
So now you guys know why I see Harley-Davidson a little differently than the other companies we've exposed, because their CEO is not simply a CEO that got sucked into some crazy DEI plan by their HR team or PR people. He is a true believer, an architect, if you will, of using corporate power and corporate culture to advance wokeness. This is a man with a plan. Now it's up to us to raise our voices to Harley-Davidson, to their board, to get rid of this woke CEO and save a great American brand. Because if we don't save it, this man will drive it into the ground. If you think that Harley-Davidson has fallen totally out of alignment with its core customers that have made that company great and successful, then here's their customer service number to call. And here's Harley-Davidson's media department contact information if you have any questions or a request for comment as to whether or not they're going to continue down this path of wokeness and DEI, or if they're going to turn around before they destroy this once great American company.
So, yeah, you guys are jumping on one of the important takeaways from this, which is that when the mass deportations come around, they're not just going to be directed at third worlders. They need to be directed at Germans like Joshin Zeitz, who there's no reason why this German guy should be running Harley-Davidson. Right? Maybe there are some companies on American soil that non-Americans could run. I'd be open to someone making the case for that. But there's just certain brands that no non-American should be running, like Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson is only and ever could be an American brand and should only and ever could be represented by Americans. I think nothing, I don't think there's anything else that is acceptable. But you see how even this, like the people who are running the world, the people who are making all of their plans and trying to take everything over, where was that? They just meet in little conferences like this. This is what it looks like. This is the regime here. This is who they are. They have an American manifestation. They have a British manifestation. They have a European manifestation. But fundamentally, it's not an American phenomenon. This is an invasive species in America. It's not something that originated from the American spirit. It's something that is imposing upon and oppressing and holding back the American spirit. And it's almost as if that's the purpose. It's like a parasite that has arisen that sustains itself by preventing the rise of an American identity. Unfortunately for them, I think that the American identity is much stronger than whatever they're trying to put together, because whatever they're trying to put together is just completely deranged and keeps self-destructing. Very much like these AIs. What was the comment that was here in the chat? Andrew, politically Catholic, said, worshiping AI can only happen in an irreligious people. AIs don't have intellect, so they can't see essences. They will always make mistakes that humans wouldn't make. And then there was another comment. Javier Oliva says, billionaires, narcissists with psychopathic tendencies? Yeah, but some of them are good people. That's right. That's exactly it. Okay. MAGA is our ivermectin. That's fantastic. MAGA is ivermectin. So this is an update from yesterday. Robbie Starbuck says, I've just obtained a very interesting email that was sent by Harley-Davidson to employees today about our stories exposing them for going woke. Harley says they've begun an evaluation of, quote, policies, strategies, and activities to ensure they're relevant to our business. So we'll read the article here, or read the little email. Team HD, we want to take this opportunity to communicate with you regarding the recent online media that you may have seen relating to Harley-Davidson's corporate policy. Harley-Davidson has been a proud American institution for more than 120 years. United We Ride defines how we run our business, treat our people, and underscores our commitment to freedom. As a responsible company, we are committed to evaluating our policies, strategies, and activities to ensure they are relevant to our business. Earlier this year, Harley-Davidson initiated an internal review to ensure that stakeholder and outreach activities associated with the company are aligned to our role as an employer in business today. The outcome of that review will inform our stakeholder initiatives going forward, ensuring that alignment with the company. Our employees are the heart of Harley-Davidson, and we will continue to invest in our teams to ensure we remain a place people are proud to come to work every day. United We Ride. It's such transparent bullshit. This is a language unto itself. It's like a subset of English, this corporate speak. They say a bunch of words to say absolutely nothing. And the thing that you could take away from this is they felt compelled to have to make a statement and address this. And you can reason then, if you understand these types of people, you can reason from that this is actually hitting them. They're actually going to have to do something. What they do next is probably going to be retarded, but now they're on the run. So, shout out to Robbie Starbuck, man. Keep up the good work. Let's see. Next thing here. Close that window. And pull up this. Do me a favor and hit the like button, folks. Got 72 watching on YouTube, 34 likes. Next thing we're going to go to is some stuff about Trump. I like talking about Trump, man. It just makes me feel good. Especially stories like this one. Bo Loudon tweets, Trump paid off a family's home after they fixed his broken down limo.
Just want to know if the story is true or not. You were traveling to Atlantic City and your limo broke down. Husband and wife pulled up behind and the husband basically said, I'm going to help him out. So he helped out the limousine, and a week later, the husband and wife received the deed to their house paid off. Was that a true story?
It's true. It's true.
It's awesome. Just
and I've heard from enough people, some of this public and some of it not so public, but I've heard from enough people that this sort of thing. Some people would have this sort of thing, would do this sort of thing, but like publicize it. They would be very performative about doing it. But there's tons of stories like this about Trump. It makes it very clear that this is something that he does authentically, genuinely. He's a genuine man of the people. Related thought here from Lomez. He said Trump's success with downscale white voters is precisely because he was never trying to do he's just like me politics. The inauthentic, superficial folksiness average Joe slop is not actually for average Joes. It's for political class nerds who want to live inside the LARP. This is precisely the case. Making the electoral tactical strategy of we're going to get this folksy guy. We're going to get the folksy commie who's just like grandpa, he's going to come in here and he's the fun grandpa that's going to give us all the cool stuff we want. He doesn't even care if you're trans. He wants to be friends with you if you're trans because he's a cool folksy uncle. That whole thing does not actually appeal to that demographic of people. The only people it appeals to is the people who are doing it. So they're just preaching to the choir. He says, likewise, Megan Thee Stallion twerking for Kamala is not for black outreach. It completes the political fantasy of the white lib women already supporting Kamala. You could tell the decisions, the strategic decisions that they're making reveal who the people are who are making those decisions and who the people are who are not. Tomorrowland says, white liberals eat up the faux normalness. Same people who enjoy SNL skits and Broadway. And he says, only when it's lib-coded. R-coded folksiness is crass, vulgar, lowbrow, and backwards. That reminds me of Jim Goad's point that he makes about sentiment, like the New Englander sentiment toward blacks, Southern blacks, and blacks in general in the pre-Civil War period was basically transplanted wholesale onto poor whites. So poor whites today are seen and related to by the upper class polite society liberals as uneducated, stupid, dangerous, sexually degenerate, gross, barefoot, just yucky, subhuman. It's all the same forms of, what's the term I'm thinking of here? Like not bigotry, but like hostile animus toward a particular class of people. It was just taken, instead of being directed at slaves or former slaves or just free blacks, it was directed at poor whites. And that's the world we've lived in for, I don't know, the better part of 150 years. So we're going to talk in just a minute here a bit more about the DeSantis, the DeSantoid doomers, DeSantoid doomer dweebs. That's what we'll call them, the DeSantoid doomer dweebs. But first of all, I've got some stuff about campaigning that Trump is actually doing. So they're all complaining, oh, what's Trump not doing it? Trump no do thing. Trump no do thing. I need entertainment. Well, this is going to be good. Trump and Tucker, this is from Mario Nawfal on Twitter. He says, Trump and Tucker series to feature Butler shooting footage. So I'd heard about this. I can't remember if it was from Tucker or if I heard it. I don't remember if it was announced publicly or not, but I'd heard that that Tucker was actually had a film crew and stuff who were there. They were down around the stage and everything filming when the shooting happened. So they were in the process of filming a documentary, and so they had a film crew there. So they got some great footage. Trump and Tucker are launching a new video series called Art of the Surge that will take viewers behind the scenes of Trump's 2024 campaign, including footage captured during the shooting incident at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The series is expected to air on Carlson's streaming platform and will feature footage shot by Tucker's producer, who has been embedded with the Trump campaign since June. This collaboration between the former president and the conservative commentator is aimed at shaping the narrative around Trump's political comeback bid for the White House. So obviously, the Trump campaign bringing in Tucker and having his producer follow them around and film everything and produce it into this big series. This is Trump campaigning. This is Trump using the most popular podcast in the world to connect directly to his base. You get these retards who are like, hey, not doing a rally. It's 4 days since he did a rally. He got to do a rally. She had a concert. The kids think she's cool. Trump, you got to be cool too. Go do a rally and talk about your policies. That's what's going to change it. Talk about your policies. Go to a rally. Trump won't do the right thing. Here's some campaigning right here.
So we're standing exactly in the path where the president will walk out to the crowd about an hour from now, and there's a malfunction with the flag.
Be careful.
The hood's rocking with Trump. Trump's definitely got the black vote back.
Making America great again.
Donald Trump is the boss. And when you think you're in control, Donald Trump does something that says you're not in control.
You think Biden could do this? I don't think so.
Build the wall. What is the campaign specifically doing differently now?
If there's one word to describe it, it's just execution.
Biden's just taken the stage of the debate.
The standard is not, are you able to stand up for 90 minutes?
I can't even understand him right now.
Trump is like riding a great racehorse, right? You put the blinders on, you guide him into the corners, and you let him run.
Look at how many people are showing up for a rally. Everyone, please, just make sure you're ready. 30 seconds. Let's go, America!
I will watch the shit out of that. You're telling me that the presidential campaign wants to entertain and pander directly to me? And you want to doom. You want a black pill. This is the most popular podcast in the country, who formerly held the most popular cable news position, commands a massive swath of the base's respect and admiration, who's been making all these different inroads into our circles, and they're producing this together and dropping it basically right at the same time as the DNC. You've got to be like a willful retard to be, oh, Trump not campaigning. They say Kamala Brat. Kamala Brat. How do you compete with that? Trump, go campaign. The fake news may never report on these facts, but the Team Trump ground game is flame emojis. Here are the facts. So this is James Blair, political director of the Trump 2024 campaign and Republican National Committee. We have hundreds of paid staff across battleground states and currently hiring another wave of approximately 100. Honestly, that doesn't sound like that much. 300 Trump/GOP offices open across battleground states. 12,000 plus Trump Force 47 captains trained across battleground states, and will add over 2K plus per week between now and Election Day. Okay, now we're talking. On top of our official efforts, word on the street is various outside groups have at least 1,000 combined paid canvassers in the field right now in battleground states, with likely 2,500 plus by the time voting opens. Again, that's not very much. Now let's talk about voter registration. At the end of 2020 in Pennsylvania, Democrats had 685,000 more registered voters than Republicans. That has been cut almost in half as of today. At the end of 2020 in Arizona, the GOP had 130K more registered voters than Democrats. We now have over 259,000 more today. At the end of 2020 in Nevada, the GOP trailed Dems by 86K registered voters. As of July 2024, gap is down to 29K. In all three states, the net improvements are greater than the final reported 2020 election results. We have a lot of work to do from now until November, but we're better prepared today than we've ever been. Our ever-expanding ground game works tirelessly to make sure Donald J. Trump is the 47th president of the United States. Don't let the fake news demoralize you. That's their goal. Want to help us win? Go sign up here or shoot me a DM. Now, I do notice that it seems that none of these people that are complaining about them not having a good enough ground game are actually out there working the ground game themselves. It's curious. Nobody wants to sign up. The GOP doesn't have the forces for all this. Okay, well, did you go sign up? No. I'm not going to go sign up with that. Oh, okay. So shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear from you. Here's an interesting little news drop. Breaking, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin has issued an executive order to require all votes for the upcoming November election be cast with a paper ballot. Are they not like how do you see stuff like this happening and just insist, oh, you're not doing anything? They're just gonna steal again. They're not doing anything. Let's read a couple of these in their own words, so you can tell that I'm not misrepresenting them here. Make sure I get these in the right order. So 2 of these are from one guy. I just started hitting the bookmarks and dropping them in there as they were showing up. I was almost wondering if this is they're significant enough accounts that I don't think this is like a bot army or something like that, but the messaging is just so coordinated. Unfiltered Boss says, Republicans need to start asking serious questions about how motivated Donald Trump is to win this election. Only 90 days left, and he's facing the prospects of going to prison, and he's running a lazy, low-budget, low-energy, unhinged campaign. J.D. Vance is the one doing all the work now and making all the public appearances, while Trump plays golf at Mar-a-Lago and puts out unhinged posts on Lie Social. I think the thing that should concern all Republicans is how is he spending the millions of dollars he's raised, and does the possibility exist that he's just planning on hoarding as much money as possible to pay for future legal bills? If this is truly the most important election in the history of America, then how in the hell is no one starting to ask real questions about Trump's cratering campaign? And then many supporters are asking these questions. Trump's been calling it a Margaret Levine show for the 87. These people are just posting shit. This doesn't exist. The Harris campaign raised $42 million in the past 24 hours after announcing her VP pick. She had her second campaign rally in as many days full of very excited people, and she delivered a positive, forward-looking message that normies might find palatable. On the flip side, Donald Trump decided to attack the very popular governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, once again. It is being reported that GOP, which his family controls, has little to no ground game. He is being outspent in TV ads in swing states by a lot, and a damning audio was leaked where he calls Tim Walz an excellent guy who did a great job handling the 2020 George Floyd riots. You can keep lying to yourself, or you can face reality, and nominating him as a standard bearer of the Republican Party was a colossal mistake and one that people are already regretting. 90 days left till the election and 45 days before mail-in ballots go out. What a dumpster fire. Here's Florida Dad. By all metrics, Trump is either losing or operating dangerously within the margin of error in every swing state. For some inexplicable reason, he's running the 2020 campaign where he should be running the 2016 campaign. He doesn't have, like, I just played the Tucker video, right? Like, I just played that. He should be running the 2016 campaign, and he's running the 2020 campaign. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a job. Donald Trump doesn't have a job. And he's not currently in court. He has zero reason to not be doing something productive every single day, if not multiple events and interviews. The Dem/MSM/Hollywood industrial complex is recalibrating with a fervor not felt since early Obama. Yet Trump just keeps playing the hits, thinking he's the change agent people are longing for. Guess what? The sinister underpinning of a Biden coup is that Kamala Walz have seized that mantle not on policy but through exuberance. There is nothing exciting about the Trump campaign. He should have fired Wiles and LaCivita months ago, but today works too. Get on the road. Put in the damn work. Put away the effing golf clubs for 3 months. Or don't. It's not my ass they're trying to throw in jail. Now, if this was just like random fruitcakes on Twitter, that'd be one thing. But there's a lot of sentiment bubbling up like this right now from several different vectors. And this tells me that there are spirits on the rise. There are people trying to capture your energy. They want to suck away your vril. You cannot let them. Certain people are revealing themselves for who they are. They're free to repent and turn from their error at any point in the future, but for the time being, they've revealed they are at best useful idiot operatives of subversion. Bonchi from Red State says, JD Vance is doing like 3 campaign events a day. Trump hasn't done an event in 4 days and is on Truth Social talking about Brian Kemp again. I know it triggers you when it's pointed out, but I do so because I want it to change. I want to win. This isn't a winning strategy. This is loser speak. Apart from being completely detached from reality, this whole like, I actually care more than you guys. I care about this because I care more than you. You don't actually care. You don't actually care as much. I'm the one who really cares, and that's why I just doom everywhere, because I care so much. It's pathetic. It's such a pathetic attitude. I said this is the very definition of coming up with something to bitch about just to have a take. Oh my God, he hasn't done a rally in 4 entire whole days. His campaign is cooked. Meanwhile, in the last 2 weeks, his golf video with Bryson DeChambeau has amassed 10 million views and counting on YouTube alone, and his interview with Aiden Ross was one of the biggest trending stories across all media. It's good to allow JD some space for building his own brand. He's the heir apparent after all, while the Kamala ticket very publicly self-destructs. Forcing those 2 doorknobs to fill dead air is the last thing they want. Some of you guys need to take an Ativan or something. This is Andrew Torba, who's been hitting on this, and I think he's exactly right. No one cares about policy. You fucking nerds. I think the policy is interesting. Nobody cares about it. Presidential campaigns, especially this one, are not won on policy. The policy ultimately isn't going to matter. The vibes are what are going to matter. Because when it comes down to decision time for specific people, they're going to follow the vibe, whatever the vibe tells them to do. Speaking of dorky blowhards, here's Colin Coward from Sports Ball World. For those of you who don't sports ball, he's I don't know what he'd be the equivalent to. Some I don't know, Hannity or something like that. He says, I turned on CNN. So this is also, you get the guy who's not into politics whatsoever, entirely focused on sports. Massive drama queen about sports. And this is the sort of take, this is a completely normie take on politics.
Because it's an election year. And increasingly, we're being fed doomsday scenarios. And people want to be happy. So people are putting down their phones and turning on something that makes them feel happy. Caitlin Clark, Copa America, the Summer Olympics. Americans are much more united than anybody on their iPhone would acknowledge, but that's hard to sell. We really all want the same things, but we watch different news channels for it. But people are tired of the angst. This weekend, I turned on CNN. Didn't plan to, but they had a Kamala Harris special. It was like 2 hours. I didn't plan to watch it. But what I noticed between her and the other guy running is she smiled a lot. She was happy. She laughed. It wasn't constant finger pointing and grievance. And I found myself sitting there for 2 hours. It was kind of uplifting. It didn't really matter because I don't know much about Kamala Harris other than what I read, but it was like uplifting. And that's why I'm watching so much of the Olympics. And I watch so much of Copa and the Euros on Fox. Yesterday, I went to lunch with my daughter. It was a nice day out. All I saw, young couples, smiles, dogs, fun, people laughing, playing ping pong outside. People were happy. You would never know that if you sit staring at your iPhone all day. So
this is the normie. Andrew Torba says, no one cares about policy. It's all vibes. Proceed accordingly with good vibes. And this is, the vibes are what will win the day. This is literally how most people are going to look at this. They might have a single issue that they care about, but otherwise it's going to be like, what are the vibes? Does Trump's whole world seem like it's fun and fashionable and cool and on the upswing and like that's where everything's popping? Or is it Kamala? Is she the one that has all the vibes? Is that the thing that's going to be cool and popping? It's a vibes war. So inserting yourself into a vibes war everything's worse than ever. We're all going to die. All you're doing is just losing the vibes war. I think there's actually something kind of profound in this, like, this blowhard's rant here. He's like, I want to go outside and just like see families hanging out and playing ping pong and doing American stuff. I want to go watch the Olympics and be proud of American people doing stuff and being all happy and seeing cool exploits and everything. This is the progression toward get this politics shit out of my life. I don't want to have to think about this stuff. I don't want to have to be involved. Please rule me. This is democracy actually going out of fashion. Just make things cool. Just have it be good. Just give us good vibes. Let's just hang out. Let's just be happy. This is what 80% of the world, maybe more. This is how they're wired. You're not going to change them. You're not going to berate them or argue them out of that. Because that's how, the more you berate and argue and wheedle and plead and demand and all these things, the more you do that, the more they're just going to be like, fuck this. I don't want to be involved in this. The only thing you could do with people like this is rule them. They want to be ruled. That's literally what they're saying. Please rule us. Don't make us have to deal with all of this. This is a white pill. Another couple white pills here. I've set this up rather well. I needed to try to get done by about an hour and a half or so, and I've got 2 videos now to play for you guys because I figured it's good enough for us to just get this as close to from the horse's mouth as we can. So there's a war that has been announced by the Lord of the town square, and X and Rumble are engaged in a lawsuit against advertisers, the advertisers that have been boycotting this. And this strikes me as very clearly intended as more than just a lawsuit. So I've had these bookmarked. I started watching the first one, wasn't able to get all the way through it, and then I saw the new one that's an update on it. So I'm going to be learning some of this stuff as we go along with this. But I've got a couple videos here from Viva Fry, who is a close insider with Rumble. So he's in a position to be able to weigh in on these things. He says, it's war. Elon Musk sues WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers. WFA is WEF. It's on their website. It's communism. So let's speed this up a little bit here, and we're going to listen through.
As Elon Musk took to Twitter to say... war. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler, and the news of the day is that Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter and Rumble, are suing an organization called the WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers, for an alleged illegal boycott that the company had imposed on Twitter and Rumble. Now, a lot of people are calling this lawsuit dead in the water. I dare say anybody calling this lawsuit dead in the water didn't take the requisite 30 minutes at least to read it, because it's a lengthy lawsuit. But my goodness, when you read it, it is by no means dead in the water, in my humble opinion. Now, some people are taking issue with the term illegal boycott because it's a form of speech. One does not have to advertise on a given platform. There can be no such thing as an illegal boycott. It's a term being used colloquially to refer to exploitation of monopoly powers, as in a violation under the Sherman Act, which is the basis for this lawsuit. In the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, Wichita Falls Division, X-Corp plaintiff versus the World Federation of Advertisers, Unilever PLC, Unilever United States Inc., Mars Incorporated, CVS Health Corporation, and Orsted. Complaint, plaintiff X-Corp, X or plaintiff, by and through its undersigned counsel, brings this action for trebled compensatory damages and injunctive relief under the antitrust laws of the United States against the World Federation of Advertisers, Unilever, etc., etc., etc. The District of Texas sounds like a good district to file this lawsuit, and if you don't know what the WFA is, if you couldn't have guessed by the acronym, the WFA is literally WEF. From the World Economic Forum, the goal is to accelerate and advance the role that advertisers can play in collectively pushing to improve the safety of online environments. This alliance drives uncommon collaboration to improve the safety, trustworthiness, and sustainability of media. This is describing the GARM, which we'll get to in a second, but look down at the bottom, partners, World Federation of Advertisers, WFA. So yeah, the WFA is literally a partner of the WEF, and the GARM is the Global Alliance of, what is it again? The Global Alliance of Responsible Media, Garmin, from the World Economic Forum website. By this point, you have all heard of the Google judgment that came down recently, Judge Mehta declaring Google to be a monopoly, declaring Google to have abused of its monopoly powers to artificially increase the cost of advertising on the Google platform. That judgment just came down, declaring Google a monopoly, which opened the door wide open for this lawsuit. And when you read the allegations of this lawsuit, and you understand that the WFA, by its own admission, controls.
He kind of went past that quickly, but that's a very important point right there. That this lawsuit is being filed now, right after this court ruling about Google. It's not a coincidence.
Something like 90% of online spending for advertising, you're going to quickly realize that the WFA is itself a monopoly that has been abusing of its monopoly to coerce submission from social media companies, not just for safety and all that other fluffy verbiage crap, but to suppress narratives and to censor relevant political information. Don't worry, we'll get there in a second, but for now, just some recent findings from a House Judiciary Committee as relates to the WFA and the GARM. Paragraph 8, the unlawful conduct alleged herein is the subject of an active investigation by the Committee on the Judiciary of the House of Representatives of the Congress of the United States, quote, House Judiciary Committee, after extensive investigation, including a review of documents produced in response to subpoenas issued to WFA and to GARM, and an interview of a senior GARM executive, the House Judiciary Committee issued an interim staff report on July 10, 2024. Paragraph 9, that report concluded, quote, the extent to which GARM has organized its trade association and coordinates actions that rob consumers of choices is likely illegal under the antitrust laws and threatens fundamental American freedoms. The information uncovered to date of WFA and GARM's collusive conduct to demonize disfavored content is alarming, end quote. Now, when I tell you that the WFA undoubtedly should be regarded as something of a monopoly, don't take my word for it. Go to their own website and read how they describe their own entity. WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers, is the only global network for senior marketers. Our goal is to make marketing better by championing more effective and sustainable marketing communications. We are a global association that represents over 150 of the world's biggest brands and more than 60 national advertiser associations worldwide. Together, they create a peer-to-peer network of the world's best marketers, offering a unique source of expertise, inspiration, and leadership. We help you by connecting you to their collective wisdom, so you can take leadership positions. We are the voice of marketers worldwide, representing 90% of global marketing communications spend, roughly US $900 billion per year. Become a WFA member and join the network. I think they mean something more akin.
Almost $1 trillion a year. In, what was that? Marketing. Global marketing communications $900 billion per year.
$1 per year. Become a WFA member and join the network. I think they mean something more akin to become a member and join the WFA mob. Paragraph 33. The avowed purpose of GARM is to leverage the collective market power of its advertiser members to advance their economic interests by forcing changes to the business operations of digital media and social media platforms that sell advertising inventory to GARM members or to their clients. GARM's charter recognizes the, quote, collective power, end quote, of GARM members to achieve this goal through, quote, uncommon collaboration, end quote. Rakowitz has explained, quote, uncommon collaboration needs to be understood as the industry coming together and putting aside competitive concerns in the interest of safety, end quote. In its 2019 press release announcing the formation of GARM, WFA expressly identified collective action among advertisers at the expense of digital media and social media platforms as the purpose of GARM. Quote, members of the Global Alliance for Responsible Media recognize the role that advertisers can play in collectively pushing to improve the safety of online environments, end quote. A little bit of the old, won't someone think of the children? And more often than not, when someone says, won't someone think of the children, they're not thinking about the children. They're thinking about their own interests. And when you realize what the actual objective of this WFA is, it has nothing to do with safety. And as you will see, evidenced in the allegations of this lawsuit, it's not evidence yet, but the email is real. It is about politics. It is about controlling the narrative. And I say it is about election interference and undisclosed campaign contributions. We'll get there. And when I say we're going to get there, we're going to get there now. Paragraph 102. At the December 1, 2022 meeting with GARM and WFA, Twitter agreed to take certain steps to adhere to the GARM brand safety standards. While some members of the GARM steer team were pleased with the concessions made by Twitter, other members of the steer team, including Unilever, were not. In a December 3, 2022 communication about the press release to be issued regarding the December 1 meeting, Rakowitz explained that, separately, I connected with the 4As and Group M yesterday. They're pleased with the concessions, especially the social listening, since that disproves the safety of the platform. UL, that being Unilever, will not trust until they see the data and have said they have issues with overtly partisan takes, e.g. Hunter Biden laptop expose. And because I didn't specify who Rakowitz is as of yet, I'll take Rakowitz's description from the WFA bio. WFAnet.org, Robert Rakowitz, Initiative Lead, Global Alliance for Responsible Media. Rob is the co-founder and lead for the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM, which brings together marketers, agencies, platforms, and industry groups to remove harmful content from ad-supported digital media. Rob is a career change agent, having led transformations as the head of global media at Mars Incorporated and creating the communications planning discipline for Mindshare, Carrot, and OMD. Rob is based in New York. Apparently, Rakowitz and Unilever have determined that safety involves censoring the truth. The now confirmed to be true Hunter Biden laptop story, which was suppressed and censored at the time and had an impact on the outcome of the election. Yeah, this is what big corporations are doing to ensure safety online. Hogwash. The lawsuit then goes on to allege that this lawsuit is actually contrary to the financial interests of the clients that these agencies represent, in that it actually drives up advertising costs instead of bringing them down, as described later on in this lawsuit. The advertising boycott of Twitter and now X is contrary to the economic self-interest of the boycotting advertisers, absent the conduct challenged herein. Due to the boycott of Twitter, prices charged by Twitter for advertising declined substantially beginning in November 2022 and remained well below those charged by X's closest competitors in the social media advertising market. By refraining from purchasing advertising from X, boycotting advertisers are foregoing a valuable opportunity to purchase low-priced advertising inventory on a platform with brand safety that meets or exceeds industry standards. Paragraph 117. Instead, as a result of their agreement to boycott Twitter and now X, GARM member advertisers and advertising agencies are paying prices above competitive levels for advertising inventory purchased from social media platforms deemed by GARM to be adhering to the GARM brand safety standards. In other words, this conduct by the WFA, which represents 90% of all ad spend online, is actually costing their clients more. Now, some might argue, if their clients want to pay more for advertising, that is their prerogative. More power to them. A fool and their money are easily parted. But others are going to say this is exactly the result of monopolistic abuse, driving up prices through the exploitation of their monopoly power, hence a Sherman Act violation. And call me whatever name you want, I tend to agree with this logic. One thing is for certain, this is an exploitation of monopoly power. Because WFA, GARM, controls 90% of the ad spends, they can coerce social media companies into censorship under the pretext, under the false pretext of safety concerns to censor accurate news information that has an actual impact on the outcome of elections. That is called election interference. And I might even go out on a limb to call that an undisclosed campaign donation, campaign contribution, because that is, in fact, a tangible contribution to a campaign of their choice, that having been the Biden administration back in 2020. And then we get into the claims for relief. Count 1, group boycott all defendants. Paragraph 128, the conduct of defendants and their co-conspirators alleged herein is a group boycott in violation of Section 1 of the Sherman Act. Defendants and their co-conspirators agreed to boycott Twitter by withholding purchases of digital advertising from Twitter. Paragraph 129, the conduct of defendants and their co-conspirators alleged herein is per se illegal, or in the alternative, illegal under the rule of reason or, quote, quick look, end quote, analytical framework. There are no pro-competitive effects of the group boycott, which was not reasonably related to or reasonably necessary for any pro-competitive objectives of the GARM brand safety standards. Alternatively, there are no pro-competitive effects of the group boycott that outweigh its substantial anti-competitive effects or that could not be achieved through less restrictive means. And along the same lines, count 2, information exchange, all defendants. Paragraph 134, the conduct of the defendants and their co-conspirators alleged herein is unlawful under the rule of reason as facilitating a boycott of X. Through GARM, defendants and their co-conspirators exchanged, disseminated, and discussed non-public, forward-looking, and competitively sensitive information relating to the intentions of competing advertisers with respect to the purchase of digital advertising from plaintiff. The information exchange had the likely and actual effect of making each competing advertiser's decision to curtail the purchase of digital advertising from plaintiff more likely and more profitable than would have otherwise been the case. There were no pro-competitive effects of the information exchange facilitated by and through GARM, which was not reasonably related to or reasonably necessary for any pro-competitive objectives of the GARM brand safety standard. Alternatively, there are no pro-competitive effects of the information exchange that outweigh its substantial anti-competitive effects or that could not be achieved through less restrictive means. So that is the overview of the lawsuit. As Elon Musk took to Twitter to say they have tried to play nice, it is time for war. Metaphorically speaking, judicially speaking, that's the lawsuit. It's an uphill battle, that is for darn certain, but it need only survive a motion to dismiss in order to proceed to discovery in order for stuff to hit the fan. Rumble in its lawsuit against Google has succeeded past a motion to dismiss and has gone to discovery. Twitter versus MMFA, Media Matters for America. We saw how that has turned out for Media Matters for America. I have a sneaking suspicion the rats are going to start jumping ship because that WFA is full of rats and I smell them jumping already. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I did an interview with Chris Pavlovsky on my channel today as at the time of shooting this vlog, and he predicted that he does not see the WFA lasting much longer. We'll see what happens. But when I see a company saying, yeah, under the pretext of safety, we need to make sure that these companies are not talking about partisan stories such as the Hunter Biden laptop expose, that's not partisan. That's called truth. And if you don't like it, you're the partisan hack, but you have no business interfering in other countries' elections. That's it. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you have your notifications turned on. It takes 1 second to do. Just do it now while I rant and rave. Hit that button, drop a comment, drop a thumbs up. Viva Fry on Rumble, Viva Fry on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the most above average community out there. More important than anything, eat healthy, exercise, sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps.
All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, fuck you. War.
I love Viva. I love his energy. Real quick, I'm going to drop in the chat a link to a video that was sent me by one Tommy Salmons from the Year Zero podcast. He listened to the episode we did earlier this week, I think, where we read the article from Pirate Wires talking about this this phenomenon of these different NGOs and the way that they are manipulating through advertisers and such in the background. Tommy sent me this video. I just dropped the link in the chat for you guys to go watch in your own time. We may actually wind up having to do a whole episode watching through that. But it's a Glenn Beck talking about Arabella Advisors and the way that everyone looking at the campaign funds going into the Kamala campaign. Like there was the debate about, Biden has his the money that's been earmarked for him, but then they're gonna have to like refund the donors, and it's gonna have to go to Kamala. And then if they try to replace Kamala, then they have to try to figure out what to do with this. Don't even that is the least of their concerns. The amount of money that is being dumped into what is effectively the Kamala campaign through all of these back channels to just flagrantly skirt any sort of like election contribution laws is staggering. The amount of money that's being donated to her campaign, like on the books, is just a drop in the bucket. This is the dark money apparatuses. And this lawsuit is going straight into the heart of it. And this is not some like little sideshow or whatever. This is straight up taking the lawfare game to them in a way that that hurts, which of course is gonna. As I see, I think everyone looks at this and they're like, "Oh well, it's not gonna." The outcome of this lawsuit is not going to be that literally every person occupying any of these organizations is magically vaporized from the planet. Therefore, they're just going to retreat and reorganize and do a different thing. They'll just create a new company and all that. Yes, obviously. There is no one just like flip a switch and magically solve all of the problems. This is what the game looks like. This is how you take it to them. There is no conceivable way that this is just some sort of controlled opposition performance. This is a legitimate war happening between regime factions. And That video I just showed you was from 2 days ago. This video here is from last night. Another one of Viva. So yeah, we may have to do that. Do a live watch through of that Glenn Beck episode. It's from like two years ago, talking about there's George Soros, and now the new man on the block is Hans-Jörg Wyss, who we heard about in that Pirate Wires interview. I may have to do a watch through of that. I don't know if it'll let me do it on YouTube. We'll see. So here's an update. So Rumble and X are both together suing the I don't remember who exactly is it suing WFA, or they're suing GARM, right? It says right here, WEF's Global Alliance for Responsible Media. And 2 days later, GARM disbands. I wonder why. Let's hear. This video I have not seen at all. So I'm going to be watching this for the first time with you guys.
Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler in my home office, doing something of a follow-up on yesterday's vlog. Yesterday, as at the time of shooting this vlog, I believe it's August 7th, 2024. Yesterday, I broke down X's lawsuit against the...
So it's actually August 8th. So the first video I played was from August 7th. This was played on August 8th. Today is August 9th.
The WFA and a bunch of other co-defendants and potentially unnamed co-conspirators. The WFA, for those of you who don't know what it is, stands for the World Federation of Advertisers. They are a proud partner with the WEF, that is the World Economic Forum. The WFA has a subsidiary committee of sorts, an initiative that they started called the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM. And as I explained yesterday when breaking down X's lawsuit against the WFA and the other defendants, the Global Allegiance Alliance of Responsible Media basically groups together 90% of the ad spend online. They proudly boast this on the WFA website. That's something like $900 billion that the GARM represents by way of its monopoly over advertising spends. What the WFA does is, through GARM and its initiative, tries to impose certain safety protocols on the platforms on which advertisers advertise. And if those platforms don't enable certain safety protocol, well then the GARM, exploiting, abusing of its monopoly, will say, we're not going to advertise on those platforms unless you adhere to certain safety protocols. If it were only an issue of safety protocols, there wouldn't be much of an issue here. As I explained when I broke down X's lawsuit against the WFA and the other defendants, Unilever in particular, as is alleged in the lawsuit, it actually has not everything to do with when someone think of the children's safety protocol on these platforms, because Twitter and Rumble, and we're going to get to it in particular, have very good safety protocols on their platforms to ensure that advertising is not running against offensive, violent, whatever content. As I explained in the lawsuit, it's one of the most shocking allegations in X's lawsuit against the WFA. You had Unilever saying, we want to make sure that Twitter is taking care of overtly partisan content, specifically the Hunter Biden laptop expose. This was Unilever trying to use its monopoly power through the GARM WFA alliance to coerce social media companies to censor, quote, overtly partisan conduct. This lawsuit is something of an uphill battle because it's based on Sherman Act antitrust violations.
Real quick, Kate says Matt and Viva should get together for a long curly-haired meetup. I actually have the same thought. The one point I want to make here, which is something that the constantly it's so over guys would do well to remember, is that the thing that actually makes this lawsuit possible is the fact that X and Rumble have safety guidelines. They actually have some in place. They do have things that are obviously super distasteful and unpalatable are going to be kept off of the platform. The fact that they have those guidelines and that they enforce them is what gives them standing to make this lawsuit. If they didn't, it would be very easy to just throw it out. Be like, well, you're not policing any content whatsoever. You're radically departed from anything normal or reasonable. So you have no standing. We're not even going to consider this. The fact that they actually have those standards and that they police them, even if people don't like them, that gives them the ability to command the market share and to actually be able to, in good faith, file this lawsuit. And it vastly increases the possibility that they're actually going to be successful with it. Yes, I'm at 1.5. Actually, this one here, I think we could slow down just a little bit here, because he's also a fast talker.
The idea being that the WFA, which basically boasts having a monopoly, 90% of all online spending in the order of $900 billion, is exploiting of that monopoly, not just to surreptitiously coerce censorship of social media platforms, but also necessarily causing the prices of advertising to increase as a result of excluding certain platforms from ad spends. They do this notwithstanding the fact that it's against the interests of the advertisers, both in terms of paying more for what they're getting and also being excluded from cost-friendly platforms that actually have very, very good safety protocols, such as Twitter and Rumble. So this lawsuit is out there. It's an uphill battle, as I explained, but it's fascinating to see what's going on. And I then had Chris Pavlovsky on my channel for an interview, the CEO of Rumble, and we talked about this. And I'll show you the clip at the end of this video where when we were talking about GARM, Global Alliance for Responsible Media, the WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers, who are a partner of the WEF, who have actively engaged in what I will call election interference, as we've seen in the allegations of X's lawsuit, Chris Pavlovsky comes out and says, look, we've been disclosing some of these emails, at least two. One was from Dunkin' Donuts saying we don't want to advertise on right-wing content. The other was from, I forget who it was from now, doesn't really matter. Chris Pavlovsky revealed some of these emails which say we don't want to advertise on right-wing platforms. We don't want to advertise on content that hosts Steven Crowder. The only problem being Steven Crowder is also on YouTube. But Pavlovsky comes out and discloses a couple of these emails. Rumble is also suing the WFA on a very similar basis as X, and its lawsuit is equally as compelling. And they go through how WFA exploits its monopoly to coerce, pressure, censorship that has nothing to do with safety protocols, and how they abuse of their monopoly power to basically boycott, illegally boycott, because they're abusing of monopoly powers under the Sherman Act, illegally boycott platforms such as Rumble and Twitter, not because of any actual safety issues, but because of politics. In the
he needs a line so he can see how fast he can really get. Here, I'll back it up a little bit and I'll play it at 2x for a minute, because this is how I would normally be listening to it. Just for those of you who never experienced it, I'll give you a little experience of it.
Protocols, and how they abuse their monopoly power to basically boycott, illegally boycott, because they're abusing of monopoly powers under the Sherman Act, illegally boycott platforms such as Rumble and Twitter, not because of any actual safety issues, but because of politics. In the interview, Chris...
It's actually easier for me to understand. I have to focus a lot more to try to understand at the slower speeds. If I could, I would listen to it at like 2.5.
Pavlovsky says, we sued them, and the rats are jumping ship. He actually didn't use that analogy. I did, because it's what's happening right now. But Chris said, I don't think GARM is going to be around by the end of the year. It's just his educated guess. I'll show you the clip at the end of this video. He predicted that GARM would not be around by the end of the year because they've got something to hide, and it's quite clear because he is only scratching the tip of the iceberg with the emails that he's disclosed. He suspected that under the hood of GARM would be a lot more dirty laundry, a lot more very compromising or indicting emails, correspondence that would show wrongdoing by this agency. And lo and behold, the news of the day today, August 7, 2024, GARM is disbanding. Overnight, after having been sued by Rumble and by X, GARM is disbanding, disaffiliating, whatever you want to call it, from the WFA. The WFA, the World Federation of Advertisers, is now saying, we're done with GARM. This initiative is over. Pack it up and head home, people. Not after they've actively interfered in the 2020 election by Unilever in particular, wanting to make sure that platforms were suppressing overtly partisan conduct, i.e. the Hunter Biden laptop expose. They are...
It sounds to me like someone does not want to go to Discovery. And we've talked before about the notion of having this sort of like motivating ideology, or I don't even know if it's coherent enough to call it an ideology. It's just like a motivating factor, a force, a spirit for developing a totalitarian globalized system of massive complexity and sophistication, while preaching a message and focusing hiring practices and developing systems and stuff to be populated by increasingly more and more incompetent and retarded people. When they build out these big money laundering schemes, money and politics, political influence laundering machines, they're having to make them bigger and bigger and loop more and more people in, make them more and more expansive, and insert them into more and more little crevices, and then add manpower and add leverage to try to break things apart. The more they do this, the more they're having to bring in people who are not the masterminds who set these up. Like the people running the Clinton campaigns back in the day. The actual deep state masterminds are increasingly having to operate more and more through younger generations who are interested in getting involved in something like this because they're going to be making political appeals. So you're going to need someone who's already inclined to believe all of this, which just means the pool of candidates you have to hire from is getting narrowed and narrowed around the people who are the most detached from reality, which makes them the most incompetent or the most inclined toward incompetence. So you have an organization like GARM here that I'm sure ultimately is involved in operating through some people who are just retarded. These are not like sophisticated political operatives. It's some dorky millennial who's, I'm activisming. So they're getting sued and they're like, whoop, okay, just nuke it, get rid of it. Flipping the tables and the chairs behind you as you run. Light it on fire, nuke it from orbit. Abort, 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 get out, get out, get out, get out. Now there's so much money and there's so much power and influence behind this that the thing about the schemes that they set up, these basically like shell organizations, is that they can just nuke one and start another one up right away. So you can't just go after one, get it to disband and be like, okay, there we go, job's all done. You have to stay on the trail. They're gonna have to try to start something up, and now they're doing it under pressure. They're trying to do it in real time. So you get all these different assaults on all these different vectors of regime influence. Breaking up, basically force it to fight a bunch of battles on every front, because that's what it wants to do in the first place. That's like the defining characteristic is we're going to fight every possible battle on every possible front, and we have no capacity for efficiency or it's just all-out war. There's no single entity that can maintain all-out war with the entire world for any length of time.
Disbanding, whatever. The initiative is over. And it's an amazing thing. Rats jumping the ship is one thing, but you damn well know that if they're not deleting evidence now, because I don't know that they could easily be deleting emails, because as I explained yesterday, part of what led to this was the House Judiciary Committee, Oversight Committee, investigating into this. And the House Judiciary Committee came to the conclusion that what GARM was doing via the WFA was likely illegal. But apparently they've been placed on not a litigation hold, but a document preservation hold from about a month ago. So it might be less likely that they're actively just out there digitally shredding emails, using bleach bit, wiping it clean, or smashing it with hammers as Hillary Clinton did. It's less likely that they might be doing that, but that they might be disbanding their activities, because with each passing day that GARM participates in what it understood was an unlawful boycott, they would be accruing the damages that they might be ordered to pay to both Rumble and Twitter. Officially, you go read it, it's in the Business Insider, it's wild, announced that they're done. The GARM initiative is over. Whether or not they are now in alt-control-delete mode, or they're just in minimize the damages mode, who knows? But
one thing that just came to mind that's very interesting is there was no leak about this coming that I saw. When they announced X and Rumble are filing this lawsuit, there weren't like leaks coming out saying something like this was on its way. Or at least if there were, they were very well contained. It never turned into a big story. So I wonder to what extent GARM and the people behind it themselves, like what sort of heads up they had that it was coming. That I genuinely don't. I'm not asking rhetorically. I genuinely don't know.
Chris Pavlovski predicted this. Rumble and Twitter are going after them, and it would seem that Chris was right on the money. They are disbanding now. One thing that's worth highlighting in this is that yesterday, for a brief moment in time, and I don't know how these things work, the trending hashtags on Twitter, and I'm not going to make any accusations, but I do have some serious questions. Yesterday, after Chris Pavlovski disclosed in particular the Dunkin' Donuts email, where they didn't want to advertise on right-wing content, the hashtag was trending, at least according to CatTurd on Twitter, if you don't know who he is, CatTurd2, sorry, at CatTurd2. Apparently, boycott Dunkin' Donuts was #1 trending on Twitter for a brief moment in time and then absolutely disappeared. And some people are accusing Musk, Yacarino, Twitter of manually or artificially killing that trending hashtag, potentially for the purposes of salvaging bridges with Dunkin' Donuts for future advertising. I wouldn't go there right away. I don't know how these trending hashtags actually work, but I did see it in real time to some extent, that it was there, and then even when you put in hashtag boycott Dunkin' Donuts, nothing would come up, which seemed curious. And I still have that open question to Elon Musk and Twitter. Was the hashtag killed, and if so, why? And if not, how do one explain what happened there? But the bottom line, it started trending. There is a pushback. People are getting fed up with companies that say, we don't want to advertise with right-wing content. Bullcrap.
If Twitter did kill the hashtag, I think it'd be totally, I would have no problem with them doing it. Because at this point, now that they're filing this lawsuit, especially if they want to keep all of their I's crossed and T's dotted, then they don't want to give any attack vector for some type of countersuit or just more legal hurdles that they'll have to jump through if they give the impression that they're actually boosting this. Because now, like, content that's being posted and that's trending and being artificially inflated on Twitter that's harmful to them could be seen as Twitter not acting in good faith. And in order for them for Twitter and Rumble to file these lawsuits, they're going to have to be completely above board in everything that they're doing to maximize their chances of either winning or pushing it as far as possible.
Crap. It's bullcrap because you have Cadillac sponsoring movies in which villains do villainous things. You have Diageo was the other one. Diageo saying we don't want to advertise on these platforms where Steven Crowder get bullcrap. Diageo sells alcohol. Black Label in particular has been in a bunch of unsavory movies. The idea that these agencies would say our clients don't want to advertise on a platform that has Steven Crowder or Alex Jones, bullcrap, because advertisers want to be where the eyeballs are, save and except if it's an actual decapitation video, which is actually what led to Adpocalypse 1.0 on YouTube. Setting aside that, advertisers go to controversial movies. There's product placement in movies like Saw, The Hills Have Eyes, The Human Centipede.
Those things are not controversial. This is where I think Viva is not, he's not fully up with the times. I think these companies genuinely don't see advertising with movies with alcohol and violence and degeneracy. That's not controversial. Being on a platform with radical right-wing people is controversial. And so they genuinely don't want to be associated with that. I think that's largely sincere.
Maybe not as much. Advertisers want to be where the eyeballs are within certain parameters of decency, and Alex Jones and Steven Crowder do not surpass those bounds of decency, but they sure as hell can sell products. And so you had this Dunkin' Donuts boycott hashtag trending because people are fed up and they're going to vote with their dollars, and advertisers are then going to realize that not only is it against our interest not to advertise here, but the people who boycott us afterwards will make us pay twice. One, for not selling them the products, and two, for boycotting them in the first place for political ideologies. So that's where things are at right now. Rumble and Twitter are making a difference in the world, and I'm partial to Rumble, but they are walking the walk and talking the talk. And Chris Pavlovsky, he disclosed 2 emails, and overnight, GARM initiative done. He disclosed 2 emails, and overnight, boycott Dunkin' Donuts was trending, if only for a brief moment in time. But GARM is done, and they're not necessarily going to get away with it, but we'll see what happens after this. If they destroy evidence, we'll see where the House Judiciary Committee goes now. This immediate disbanding after the lawsuit is an outright admission of guilt. It's an admission of wrong. If what they were doing was not wrong, was good, and was totally clean and kosher, why would they disband it overnight after 2 lawsuits, which would presumably get to some form of discovery, and still might, because the lawsuits don't end because this initiative is over. The entities are still there. Discoveries can still be had. Why would they end this overnight if what they were doing was clean and in the best interest of the internet? There's no good answer to that question, which means the answer is probably that they were never up to good in the first place. They were a WEF globalist entity involved in election interference, undisclosed campaign donations, and outright no goodness. And they would have gotten away with it if it weren't for Twitter and Rumble. Chris Pavlovsky, keep up the Lord's work, people. And if you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. Make sure that you have notifications turned on. And then when I put out a video, you share it with someone who you think might like it, and especially with someone who you think would not like it. Most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, get sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now you know you have love. Peace out, peeps.
Booyah! Now I could keep you all day, and I know that you're mildly busy, Chris. So up next, so you got this stuff going on. What else can you disclose, either for the first time or what do you want to let the public know of what Rumble is up to?
Well, I just disclosed a bunch of emails today, so
who's that? So there are more to come.
No, I'm gonna keep it to these 2. Maybe one more, but like I kind of described that one already on this show. I'm gonna keep it to these, and I will say I'll make the prediction that there's definitely some dirty laundry, as Elon Musk put it today on X, and I think that because there is, I think that just a little prediction of mine and completely my opinion and nothing else, but I don't see GARM making its way to the end of the year. I think they know they're doing something illegal, and I think behind the scenes they're pretty freaked out about what's going on, and I'd be surprised if if they're still there by the end of the year. But it's pretty
they didn't even make it to the end of the day.
Disgusting what we've seen. These emails are disgusting. Like if you look at them, I look at them and I'm like, crap. Like these guys are asking us to change. No, they want us to leave half of America so that we could get their ad dollars. No. You're gonna change, and you're gonna change your policies, and you're gonna need that other half of America, because you're gonna lose a lot of business if you treat and discriminate against half of America.
All right, well, we will keep an eye on this story. I got to run now. The wife just got home with the load of raw milk, and I'm gonna go help her unload that. Tonight we will be doing the Schizo stream at 8 p.m. Central in the King Pill Discord. If you would like to join us for that, go sign up at kingpill.com. And should be a good time. And I'll be back again on Monday for another episode of the ASTROLABE, brought to you by King Pilled. And next Wednesday, I'll repeat this for those of you who weren't here earlier. Next Wednesday, there will be no ASTROLABE, at least in the morning, because I have a root canal scheduled. So maybe in the afternoon, we'll see how the old mouth feels. by Wednesday afternoon. But no episode on Wednesday. I will be back on Monday, though. So appreciate you guys showing up. Do me a favor and hit the like button on your way out. We got 103 watching on YouTube and 58 likes. So if you can hit that like button, that would be fantastic. Join the Kingpill Discord at kingpill.com. Follow me on Twitter at RealKingpilled. And, one other thing. Go check out Meta Prime. Probably the easiest way to find it is going to be on Twitter. Or actually, you can go to the YouTube channel. I shared the video last night in the community post on the YouTube channel. Cooper was on with Meta Prime. They had a good conversation. And then Dimes and Jason from the 2-Bit podcast jumped in at the end of the conversation. So go check that out. And have a great weekend. Remember, no fucking black pilling. Go do something. Go touch grass. Go talk to people in real life. Go make some friends. Go hang out with your family. Have a great weekend.